On today's video, I am going to do a little bit of a do not try this at home type of thing, where essentially I'm curious to know if I can use a crockpot liner or a slow cooker liner in the Rockpot. I don't think they advocate this, and so if you try it and it melts or explodes or kills you, that's on you. And I know there's people who are going to talk about the microplastics and yada yada yada. I don't know. I'm just saying, can it be done? Can it be done? I don't think it's a good idea. So I checked online, and everything you read online is true. So the liners are good for a roughly 400 degrees. So I'm not going to put it directly on the stove, right? That's a bad idea. I am going to heat the stone independently. While the stone's heating, I'm going to take temperatures of it every 5 minutes or so. That way you can track an average temperature. Let's say they say you're supposed to cook it for at least 30 minutes. Let's say you only have 20. How close is that going to get you? Is it 2/3? Maybe. We'll see. Then I'm going to boil a pot of water, 2 quarts of water, half a gallon, and then I will throw the rock in the pot, then essentially put the 2 quarts of water, pour it into the container, and we'll see if it melts the bag. That's where we're at. Just for reference, this liner is, this pot is deeper than the crock pot typically is. And so it fits a little wonky, but I think it'll be okay. We'll see. I guess I should point out that so this rock feels like talc or some kind of maybe real fine sandstone. The back of it is rough, and you can see some discoloration already in the few little tests I've done. But I don't know exactly what material this is. And then there's that dark spot from the first test. Anyways, and you have to be careful pushing it. Let's take a temperature. 55.9. 55 degrees, give or take. So let's get her cooking. While those are cooking, I will tell you about my next plan. I picked up 3 bags of frozen corn. I'm putting them in the fridge so they can just come to, refrigerated temperature. I don't plan to eat the corn. I plan to use it for carp bait, but I've got 3 more tests planned so far. First test is just going to be like a control where I do everything exactly right. A bag of corn, half a gallon of water, see how long it stays hot in the bag, or in the pot, in the bag, right? So then the next question is, when you compare the Rockpot to the alternative, so like many of the other thermal cookers are just using the radiant heat from the food as you cooked it, right? So I think Stanley makes one that's like pretty comparable in appearance. It is, however, like 3 or 3.5 quarts or liters. So it's half this size. I went with the 7 liter model. I like it a lot. I'm not a big fan of small crock pots. Anyways, so it really just begs the question that is the Rockpot significantly better than, say, the Stanley? I don't have a Stanley, so I can't test that. I do have a Yeti. I have a half-gallon Yeti, just beverage thing. Maybe I'll pour some in there and see how long that stays hot versus the Rockpot. Because I think the Stanley claims it will stay hot for 6 hours, give or take, something like that, right? So, oh, here's the timer. All right, so it's been 5 minutes. In the middle, we're only drawing 220, 2 something like that. And then what are we doing out here? Out on the edge, it's every bit of 450. So, I mean, I am a little surprised. See there, it's already hitting 500. But then over here, it's only 200. But they say put it on the largest burner, and it is, and it's on high. So, you know, everywhere from 220 to about 500. Look at that. That must have hit the stove. No, 600, 620. Maybe this thing's not the most accurate. Yeah, maybe. As I was saying, the Stanley, I think, will hold temperature for 6 hours, and the Rockpot, we'll see how it does. Basically, I'll heat the corn and water on the stove, not heat the rock at all, and then just stick it in the pot and see what happens if you cook the food but don't heat the pot. How much mileage are you going to get out of that, right? And then the third test will be kind of the also do not do this test, where they, if you were to heat the rock but not heat the food on top of the rock on your stove, they say that you're supposed to cook the food on top of the rock while it's heating the stone. What happens if you don't do that? What if you heat the stone for half an hour and then stick it in the pot, and then just put your room temperature food right on top of that? How much is it going to heat up? So that's kind of the third don't do this test, but something we'll test anyways. All right, 15 minutes in, you can see it is, you know, right on the edge. It's about 680, give or take, toward the middle, 430, something like that. Anyways, the water is boiling now, so I'm just going to pull this off and test the liner. Probably a pretty bad idea to try to film this, but we're going to do it anyways. Don't try this at home. I'm a semi-pro. There you can see the bag, how it kind of folded over. So what I'm kind of testing is if I will be able to use my crock pot with a liner, and say I cook a roast or whatever, can I then take that liner out of my crock pot, put it into my Rockpot pot, and then just set it right on top of the rock? I don't know if those liners will hold up to that temperature. We'll see. It might melt, maybe not. I'm leaning towards it should be fine. So I just left that in there for a few minutes, and as you can see, I can pull this out, and then when you set it back down, it's like, it's certainly hot, right? There's no question about that. And the liner does okay. It's certainly obviously not specifically designed for this purpose, but it didn't just completely melt either. So there's that. It's doing some wild stuff under there. Look at it dancing. I don't know. I don't think that's normal. Alright, it's the next morning. There is some water in there. I don't think that's from this bag. Oh. It might be from this bag. But when I opened the lid, you can see there was a bunch of just condensation. So, yeah, take that for what it's worth. The bags are questionable. So just to kind of recap, I think that it will be fine to use a liner in a crock pot and then transfer, pick the bag up, transfer it into the rock pot. I think that'll go just fine. Obviously, they don't recommend that necessarily. So if you do that, do it at your own risk. I think it'll be fine. The bag didn't melt. I think it'll be just fine. So, yeah, be on the lookout for more testing coming soon.